Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
This is Sparta!
It's the Al Travis Show, and seriously, one of my favorite guests of all time. He reminds me of the opposite side of me. He's John Knaus, the leftover soul. He wrote the book, Pondering Life in Modern America. John, because we always get different listeners, I just want to tell the story again. You write this book. A mutual friend of ours said you should get on the Al Travis Show and have him talk about it there. You sent me a copy, read this book. I love this book. You, long story short, you were raised Democrat from beginning to end. You were devout by the Democratic roles. And then, if I may, they seemed to have moved away from you, and you felt a little lost. Thus, the book, The Leftover Soul. At that same time, I'm kind of doing the same thing, John. I'm going through this Republican side of things. I'm like, this is not who we used to be. This is not how we used to act. I was lost. Your book wrapped it all up for me, and I ended up just loving to use you as a sounding board. Thank you for being on the program.
Of course. Always a pleasure, Al.
No, it is mine. This is one that's going on, which I don't understand, and I think because of, again, our age and our similar situations. What I don't understand, a war breaks out in Israel with Hamas. It's horrible. It's tragic. Everyone is upset. Hamas won't give up the hostages they told, yada, yada. 2 years go by. There is massive protests in the streets on both sides, people literally protesting to save Hamas and the rest. I mean, we saw it all on television. Mm-hmm. And Donald Trump stopped it for now. I mean, who knows how long this is like. I'm not saying this is forever, but it stopped. It stopped over the weekend. And what I don't understand is how come I'm not seeing people in the streets yelling and screaming, other than in Israel, praising what's going on. These people got together on a weekly to yell how bad things were. He stops it, and we say nothing. Did you notice that, John? I would have thought both sides would have got together and hugged, maybe.
I definitely noticed it. I have many people that are passionate about it. I have friends who are Jewish. Mm-hmm. They would... Yep. Why is Hamas doing this? Why are we having the protests?
Yep.
And now I see it, and it's just silent. And I just don't think they can bring themselves in this situation to give Donald Trump any credit.
But then are your personal feelings override your actual mental what you stand for? They were against Palestinians dying. They were against Hamas being, brutally attacked on a regular basis. This man stopped it. You don't have to like the guy, but This is everything you've asked for. So I guess somehow your feelings, your hate feelings for him are more important than whatever you were standing up for the last 2 years?
That pretty much seems to be it. I've never had...
That's wild.
In my circles, and it's... My circle grows smaller over time. It all at
our age, due to death more than anything. I tease. Okay,
right. But I haven't ever had anybody in my circle ever come to me and say, you know what, this was all right. Donald Trump did something right, or the Democrats did something wrong.
Yeah.
And I have circles where people will tell me, you're supposed to believe this or else.
Yeah.
But I won't have a cup of coffee with you. I won't have a conversation. I won't have a discussion. I'll attack you on Facebook if you question this, or on social media if you question this. But, I have no other time. But I just asked those folks, I've said personally, if you ever come to a point where anything I ever said I was correct about, that you would attack me about, and it's like, hey, he was right about this after all. Please tell me, because I think it's courtesy. I think it's compassion, empathy, whatever you want to talk about. But it's just, I don't think people can bring themselves to a point to give anybody the other side credit, or to criticize their own side.
Yeah, I find that remarkable. One, as you're talking to me, one got me as a friend of mine put a meme on, basically said, since the government shutdown, that if you're still behind this guy, you're rich, you're stupid, or you're racist. Now, if you're going to put that in your Facebook friends post, knowing that some of us might lean that way, I wrote him a note. I said, hey, I know I'm not rich. I know I'm not stupid. So now you're telling me I'm a racist. Can you fill me in on why? And then it's dead silence, right? I mean, how the government got shut down. I get it. We can have, and I want to have a discussion with you about the shutdown. Let's move to that. Great transition now.
Here's a good point. Let me ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
What does shutting down the government have to do with anybody's race?
Because evidently the people that get hurt worse. I don't know. I can't go down that. I don't understand it. I don't even think you want to have a conversation when you write that post. You don't. You're just name calling. But here's why it drives me really crazy. I'm mad at the government shutdown, but for different reasons. I think the Republicans owed us, Republicans who voted them in, to clean up our fiscal house. That's what we wanted. They said they'd come in and do the 12 appropriations bill and get us back on regular order. Well, I think this is the second or third continuing resolution of the Biden era payments, bills, right? It's right. His budget.
Spending.
So we continue to do it, saying, give us another 6 or 7 weeks. I'm sorry, John. I'm mad as a Republican. What's another 6 weeks going to do for you? It gets you to Thanksgiving, and we're right back to closing the government down. Just get it done. Rip the Band-Aid off. I would like this to be not a continuing resolution, a cut in budget. I want the budget done. So I'm mad. This is the same time the other side is steaming mad that we won't keep it going at the rate it's been. 13 times they voted for this, by the way. They won't keep it going. They want increased spending. And if you don't give it to us, they will shut the government down. We can't both be right. But it sounds like, you know what I'm saying? We're all hating this CR thing and shut down a government, but for different reasons. Your thoughts on the government shutdown?
Well, at some point we got to get together. We got to have cooler heads prevail.
Mm-hmm.
We have $40 trillion in national debt.
Mm-hmm.
When I published the book and went live with it, we had $34 trillion in debt. And I contemplated in the book, I wrote about 1982, our national debt hit $1 trillion for the first time. And you would thought it was going to be a major crisis.
Oh, yeah.
I can even remember national debt clocks in LA. They had a clock, Wilshire Boulevard or whatever, about the national debt. And it kept going. It was like $5 trillion or something in like 1988 or something. But now it's $40 trillion and we don't bat an eye. There's no concern. Nobody's losing any sleep over it. And it's like,
I think this only gets worse because, and again, it's our generation. I'm not ripping the next generation, but they have never seen what happens when you don't pay the credit card. You and I understand at some point the downturn will be something significant because we put this all on a credit card. Right now, I just don't believe they believe that. Does that make any sense? They've never seen any negativity for that.
It definitely makes sense. But a lot of what I see that's a problem is I see a lot of our older generation. I have older friends, older than you and I, and all they're talking about is my program, my benefits, my this, my that. And it's like, I get it, but it's like, I'd probably, if we could have a sound dollar and not have to go through this every 6 months and not have to worry about some major economic collapse, I'd probably give up a lot of the programs that I'm, theoretically entitled to down the road. It's just
well, see, but I don't.
$1.
I think they got us convinced that that's how that works, John. And this, if you don't mind me checking you on this,
sure.
They have got us to a point now that everything we cut is some dramatic deal. I'm telling you, we upped the budget when COVID hit, right? We threw the wind at it. We did everything. We won't go back to pre-COVID spending. We should be able to. COVID no longer is that mean, nasty thing we're all concerned about, but we can't go back there. There's a story in the paper, today, I want to say it was Bloomington, but I'm even wrong, that they put $1 million of COVID money into the bathrooms at City Hall there because they still had it to spend. My point is, we have so much bloated government. Why was it scare anybody to go back to pre-COVID times and say that's where the money's going to be? Because people got soft on living on the money the rest of us throw at them. The government has. They don't want to cut anything. Well, it's not a cut. This is like, if you will, here we were getting on my soapbox. The money they say is being cut, the Democrats, in this continuing resolution is not cut. When they started Obamacare and they put this money in for COVID, they set it to stop 5 years later. This is when it's supposed to stop. They're now calling that a cut by the Republicans. It was the COVID money. It was supposed to stop. Stopping is stopping. It was never meant to be here for forever. But now people will use it politically, say you're cutting money from X program. John, you and I have been putting money into Social Security since we were nothing.
Yep.
7.5%. Our bosses put in 7.5%. That was supposed to be our money to use at the end. And now they say that that's going to run out of money. How is it possible, John? You put in and never taken out. How is it possible? You know something they'd never talk about runs out? Welfare money. People don't put anything into the welfare state, but that will never run out of money, John. Why is that?
It's too politically expedient,
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. It is going to take a real leaders to go in and say, hey, John put this much money in. John's getting this much money out because it's his money. We told him this was a savings account. On the other side of the ledger, folks that haven't put in, and it's tough. Sometimes it's tough in the world. Got to be honest. Yep. You might be getting less stuff out. Wait, you haven't put anything into the system? Well, you don't get anything out. And there's going to be tough. So you're going to have to get to that, John. And I'm not saying there isn't something for those who can't take care of themselves, but everyone else is going to have to get on the boat and start rowing. My opinion.
Yeah, or the boat sinks.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
If you have 20 guys rowing the boat, it works great. If all 19 of them quit and only one guy's rowing the boat, that thing's going to sink like crazy.
You ain't going anywhere. Got to go to break. When we come back, there's a new, I know you haven't read this because I just read it this morning myself, a new voter purge protection act. Things are going crazy in this state. We'll talk about it. I got him, John Knaus, right after this.
If it's your turn to host a game, Grandpa's Barbecue suggests you try something different. Put out the perfect barbecue flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. Add it to your ribs, dip the meatballs, or drench your wings in the original flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. It isn't too hot or spicy, fruity or smoky or whatever. Grandpa's Barbecue. Available in select stores and online at grandpasbarbecueshop.com.
Braver Angels Minnesota is part of a national movement that brings together conservatives, liberals, independents, and others to restore trust, respect, and goodwill in politics. We seek not to eliminate our differences, but rather deal with them head on, with respect and understanding. We do not try to change people's views, but how they view the other side. There will always be differences. Braver Angels Minnesota believes the best way forward is to change how we deal with those differences. Join the civil conversation at mn.braverangels.org.
don't need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on The Al Travis Show.
Love this guy. He wrote The Leftover Soul, Pondering Life in Modern America. He is John Knaus. John, you haven't heard this story yet. You probably heard about this, the first part. Steve Simon, Secretary of State, and he's coming on this program anytime he'd like. I'd love to chat with him about it. Doesn't want to give the federal government our voter rolls. And to be quite frank, I get the Democrats. Why should they? It's our deal. On the Republican side, I'd say, why not? You sit there and say our rolls are perfect. The government has your name, address, social security number. It's nothing new that the government would get on you, but maybe they're going to find out some of these cats don't exist anymore, and find out maybe there's a problem. So I don't have a problem with them checking. I get the Democrats' reason why, John. But this is the one that I don't. This is what I hit you with today. Steve Simon is getting on board with California, and I don't remember the other state, Ohio. They're going to try to get past a voter purge protection act. That sounds good. Basically, it says your voter rolls don't come off in Minnesota unless you prove you died or you moved out of the state. And I read it again, John. I thought to myself, well, once I'm dead, I'm not worrying about it anymore. I probably won't go and fill the paperwork out. Why is it not already set up? When the state of Minnesota gets my death certificate, they don't cross-reference it and take me off the polls. Why is that not already set? And the idea of when I move out of the state, John, I should make sure to get a hold of Steve first and take me off the voter rolls? Who's going to do that? The forwarding your mail's hard enough. I'm never going to remember to do that on Election Day. Your thoughts? Why would you set up barriers to this? This stuff should be automatic.
Yeah. Again, it's just one of these things. You have to scratch your head. You have to take a deep breath. You have to have a beer, take a walk, and just think about why wouldn't this make sense for both sides? Because if I die, am I going to send my apparition, my spirit down to Steve Simon and say, take me off the voter rolls? Ooh.
But why can't my dad, he just passed, he dies in the hospital, they fill out a thing, Human Services gets it. Why wouldn't that automatically take you off the voter rolls? You're dead. There's a certificate.
Yeah. And they don't want you to show ID. So I guess maybe if I have a Democratic friend that dies,
yeah,
I can go and just say, hey, I'm
him,
Lucille Ball, and I will vote for,
And the moving thing, the last thing anybody thinks about when they move out of town is this a voting year and should I go talk to Steve Simon? But here's my deal. John moves to Iowa. Sorry, John, but you had to move to Iowa for whatever reason. You go to register to vote. Once you register there, how come Iowa can't send that to Minnesota and say, oh, by the way, John's voting down here now, and they take you off? There's computers. This isn't even mailing anything. It's send a list to Steve of Minnesotans that went to Iowa and registered. This should all take care of itself. Am I wrong?
You're not. I don't understand why the outrage on either side, because, it could wind up, they say it, if we purge the voter rolls, it hurts the Democrats. Well, only if they want to do fraud, but maybe someday Republicans want to do fraud. I don't know.
How does it hurt you? That's exactly the point. It does. Steve Simon, give it to the federal government. If you're running great books, when Donald Trump comes out and says these are wonderful books, life will be great because both sides agree you're doing a great job. I think there's something more there, John. We don't have time to talk about it. I love having you on. The Leftover Soul. It's the Christmas story for life. I love that movie. It's written that way. It's just common sense stuff. Hearing it from John's point of view. Can I still get this on Amazon? Where do I pick up the book, John? I love this book.
It's available exclusively on Amazon. So if you type in The Leftover Soul, John Knaus, it'll be right up there, and please buy it. You'll see why the world's in such a mess when you read the book.
It's common sense stuff, and I'm from the other side of the table. And, John, I'm telling you, it's my favorite book I've read all year long. I appreciate you, my friend. I thank you for taking time. And tell your boss, and who's your boss? Tell him thanks for letting you come on.
Berkeley Honda, Ken Anderson.
He's fantastic. Appreciate you, John.
Thank you so much.
Think about it. Now